In order to enter Yom Kippur this year, in order to hope to come out of this intensive day of prayer and fasting, introspection, and call to action uplifted, I need to make space for how I'm really feeling in this moment. The Torah commands us to afflict our souls on this day, ve'initem et nafshotechem. But this year, I do not need to refrain from eating and drinking for my soul to feel afflicted. It's not that I can't point to many blessings in my life or that I'm not deeply inspired to see more than 25 college students and young alumni spend hundreds of hours collectively learning the high holiday melodies and writing speeches to lead services for all of us. Because I am fortunate, and the students I work with every day do inspire me. And in my best moments, I am grateful and even hopeful. But I am also deeply saddened to not be together in person and profoundly unsettled in this political moment. These past 6 months of isolation and upheaval, of fear and loss and uncertainty have taken a toll on me, and I know they have taken a toll on you as well. The Hebrew word for crisis, mashbir, contains within it the words for broken and shattered. I come before you on this Yom Kippur with a shattered heart. My central question is, how will I make it through the year ahead? What spiritual resources can Yom Kippur offer me, and by extension offer all of us, to sustain us as we enter this new year? My teacher, Malila Helner Eshet, who I've studied with over many summers in the Beit Midrash at the Shalom Hartman Institute in Jerusalem, and this summer over Zoom, has opened before me a treasure trove of Jewish texts and spiritual sustenance in a time of crisis. I wish I had time to share them all with you, but I hope that in speaking about our brokenness, we will see our wholeness in a new light. For after all, in the words of the songwriter Leonard Cohen, there's a crack in everything, but that's where the light shines through. The first instance of mashbir, of crisis in the Torah, happens when Moses comes down from Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments in his hands and sees the people dancing around the golden calf. After all he had risked in delivering our ancestors from Egypt, and even after pleading with God not to destroy us and replace us with a new nation, when Moses saw this ultimate betrayal up close with his own eyes, Moses hurled the tablets from his hands and shattered them at the foot of the mountain. Vayashlach miado et haluchot vayshaber otam tachat hahar. Vayshaber, he shattered the tablets in the face of the first mashbir, the first crisis, a crisis of survival and faith, a crisis of integrity and hope. And what caused this first crisis? The crushing weight of uncertainty. They asked Aaron, the first high priest, to build the golden calf because Moses was delayed in coming down the mountain, velo yadanu, and they didn't know when he would return. Just as we do not know when our lives will return to normal. If our story as a Jewish people ended with the broken tablets, we simply wouldn't be here today. Thousands of years later, we are here, gathered together by any means possible all over the world on Yom Kippur in a great time of uncertainty, because there was a second set of tablets. And that second set of tablets containing the very same words of the 10 Commandments that were on the first set that were given to Moses on Mount Sinai, that second set was given to him on the 10th of Tishrei, on the very first Yom Kippur. On that first Yom Kippur, we experienced God as forgiveness and love. In that moment, when Moses stood with the second set of stone tablets in his hands, Adonai came down in a cloud, passed before him, and proclaimed these words: Adonai, Adonai el rachum bechanun, erech apayim, berav chesed ve'emet. At the heart of our Yom Kippur liturgy, these words declare again and again an aspiration in response to crisis. Be compassionate and gracious. Be slow to anger. Be abundant in loving kindness and truth. I'm thinking of my friend Jeff, standing in the line at Trader Joe's in Newton, Massachusetts. You've probably been in one of these lines in the past 6 months. No one expected it to be so long or to move so slowly, even though it's Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Everyone is standing with their arms crossed and their feet tapping, and you can see the scowls on their faces and hear the loud, frustrated sighs, even with the masks. There was a 25-year-old sales clerk in front of the door, tasked with controlling the crowd, and people were starting to demand, "Let me in already." When my friend got to the front of the line, he looked this young person in the eyes and said, "You're doing a really good job." She looked back at him with tears in her eyes and said, "You have no idea how important these words are to me." At a time when so many of us are living with amplified anxiety and frustration, we shouldn't underestimate how just a moment of kindness and calm in a few simple words can be so powerful. In the face of crisis, let's make every effort to be compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, and abundant in kindness and truth. There is another response to crisis embedded in our Yom Kippur liturgy. In fact, our entire Yom Kippur services, every prayer, from Kol Nidre to the final Tekiyah Gedolah, was created after the destruction of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. The Zohar, on its very first page, describes this mashpir, this crisis, this shattering of our spiritual center, this scattering of our people into exile, as a loss as vast as the ocean. It was a time of fleeing our homes and communities, a time of tremendous grief, danger, isolation. The Yom Kippur rituals in ancient times with the high priest and the goats in the wilderness and with the Holy of Holies were lost to us as well. In its place, over thousands of years, our poets and rabbis wrote and compiled the prayers we recite today in synagogue, and in this year, over Zoom. What remains of that magnificent, mysterious temple service is the story, which we read as part of our Yom Kippur morning services, and the final blessing of the high priest that he recited as he emerged on Yom Kippur from the Holy of Holies. It is an acrostic poem offering a blessing for the year ahead for every single letter of the Hebrew alphabet. In offering this prayer, the high priest asked God to grant us, the entire people of Israel, a year of abundance, a year of a fulfilling life, a year of peace and tranquility, and everything in between. Part of the revolution that happened in Judaism in the wake of the crisis of the destruction of the temple was that blessings became more accessible. You no longer had to be a descendant of Aaron to offer blessings, even the priestly blessing, as these blessings became a part of our daily services. And since the year 1626, when a Kabbalist in Italy launched a campaign for parents to bless their children at home on Friday nights around the Shabbat table, there has been an expanded sense that you don't have to be a rabbi or a cantor or a communal leader to offer your loved ones words of blessing. In this time of isolation, I want to share something very special I learned how to do when I was a chaplain at a hospital in Harlem. I would listen to people compassionately and find out what was causing them pain. And then I would offer them a customized blessing directly related to whatever was broken in their lives. I found you can do this at the end of any conversation, not just in a hospital, anywhere. When you tell someone, my hope for you is that you will have strength to endure this specific difficulty, or my blessing for you is that you'll have an abundance of exactly what you're looking for. It brings light and hope into the places that are fragile and broken. I really believe anyone, meaning each of you, can offer a blessing or a hope to a loved one or a stranger. And that is what it truly means to fulfill the promise God made to Abraham and Sarah at the beginning of our story. That's what it means not only to be blessed, but to be a blessing. We enter Yom Kippur this year with souls that are already afflicted. Like my friend at Trader Joe's, like parents who bless their children on Friday nights, like so many others in the world, we can give to others and help alleviate some of their suffering. And it can turn out that not only is the affliction of the soul lessened for the recipient, but it's lessened for us as well. Imagine the impact if all of us, each of us in our own ways, could find more moments to be compassionate and gracious, patient and calm, abundant in kindness in the year ahead. Just picture our collective potential to lift each other up by sharing our hopes and blessings for each other in everyday conversation. Then, maybe then we will truly know what it means to carry the broken tablets and the whole tablets together as our ancestors carried them in the ark thousands of years ago. And then, maybe then, we will fully inherit our spiritual legacy in response to crisis. Here is my blessing to us on this Yom Kippur. In a year of instability, may we find calm in the midst of chaos. In a year of loneliness, may we give kindness and love. In a year of injustice, may we be instruments of change. In a year of crisis, may we find endurance and hope in equal measure. In this new year, may we be blessed and may we be a blessing. Gamar Chatima Tova.